Cruise ship crimes, the dirty secret beneath the luxury. When you think of cruise ships, what comes to mind? Gleaming vessels cutting through sapphire blue waters, promising luxury, relaxation, and exotic adventures. For millions, these floating palaces represent the ultimate vacation getaway. But what if this idyllic picture is just a thin veil masking a much darker truth? Behind their opulent facade, cruise ships are committing some of the most alarming environmental crimes imaginable. From illegally dumping toxic waste into our oceans to deceiving authorities with falsified records, the industry seems to care more about its billion-dollar profits than the environment we all depend on. Here's the truly shocking part. Even after facing massive fines, sometimes in the tens of millions of dollars, these companies keep breaking the rules as if the punishments were mere minor inconveniences. It begs the question, are cruise lines treating environmental destruction as just another operating expense? Luxury comes at a devastating cost, and the cruise industry has perfected the art of hiding its environmental sins. Picture this. Beneath those gleaming decks and sparkling pools lies a system that has, time and again, been caught contaminating the oceans. We're talking about millions of gallons of untreated waste, oily bilge water, plastics, and sewage dumped into ecosystems that are vital to life on Earth. In one particularly damning case, a major cruise line was fined $40 million in 2016. Why? They had installed secret plumbing systems, devices specifically designed to bypass pollution controls. These systems allowed them to pour waste directly into the ocean, completely evading detection. And the worst part? Even after the court slapped them with one of the largest environmental penalties in maritime history, they kept breaking the law. It's not just one company. The violation reports keep piling up. Dumped pollutants, unreported fuel spills, and constant manipulation of environmental records. It's a pattern, a corporate culture that thumbs its nose at accountability because the consequences are rarely harsh enough to disrupt their bottom line. Let's talk about those fines. Sounds like $40 million would be a staggering deterrent, right? Think again. In the world of global cruise lines, those fines are a drop in the ocean. These companies rake in billions of dollars annually. Paying a multi-million-dollar penalty is little more than a bad quarter, barely noticeable on their balance sheets. Why do these companies repeatedly break the law? Because, quite frankly, it's profitable. Cleaning up their act would cost far more in the long term. Properly disposing of waste, retrofitting ships for sustainable practices, and adhering to stringent environmental protocols require investments these companies aren't willing to make. So the solution is simple. Continue polluting, pay the occasional fine, and carry on with business as usual. What enables these companies to act with such impunity? Weak international regulations. Cruise ships operate in international waters, a legal gray zone where enforcement is inconsistent and penalties vary wildly. It's the perfect playground for corporations willing to cut corners, because who's watching? The damage these practices cause to the environment is staggering. Oceans are the lifeblood of our planet. They regulate Earth's climate, produce more than half the oxygen we breathe, and support countless species. Yet, the cruise industry treats them as private dumping grounds. When these ships illegally dispose of bilge water, a cocktail of oil, grease, and toxic chemicals, they poison entire marine ecosystems. Coral reefs, already struggling with rising ocean temperatures, become even more fragile. Fish populations, critical not just for biodiversity but also for global food security, plummet. Birds and sea creatures ingest microplastics, choking on humanity's negligence. The ripple effects are alarming. Polluted oceans impact the very air we breathe and contribute to accelerating climate change. What the cruise industry sees as a minor crime is, in reality, an attack on one of our planet's most vital systems. Thankfully, the truth is being exposed. Whistleblowers, workers aboard these luxury liners, people who couldn't look the other way, have courageously come forward to expose the rot within the industry. They're the unsung heroes revealing illegal dumping practices and deliberately concealed crimes. Environmental watchdog groups, too, are relentless in their efforts to track pollution from these cruise ships. They file lawsuits, publish damning reports, and demand actions from governments. Yet, the battle remains uphill. Public outrage may flare up briefly when a scandal breaks, but it often fizzles out before real change can happen. Cruise companies count on this. In the face of growing criticism, the cruise industry has adopted a new strategy: greenwashing. Companies now promise eco-friendly innovations, fuel-efficient ships, cleaner energy sources, reduced plastic use, but dig beneath the surface and you'll find hollow promises. Cruise companies love to flaunt their sustainability initiatives while quietly continuing their environmentally destructive practices. These PR-driven campaigns are designed to distract and pacify consumers, not enact real change. After all, if they were so committed to sustainability, why do violations keep occurring? The question is no longer whether the cruise industry is guilty. Its crimes are well documented. The question is, what are we going to do about it? For starters, governments need to get serious about strengthening international regulations. It's absurd that in 2023, we still allow billion-dollar corporations to exploit legal loopholes and engage in practices that devastate our oceans. Enforcement agencies need more resources to monitor and penalize these crimes, and the penalties themselves must finally have some real teeth. A $40 million fine might sound impressive, but for these companies, it's merely pocket change. Repeated violations warrant harsher consequences, like banning ships from entering certain waters or even revoking operating licenses. Consumers too have power. Every ticket sold funds this environmental destruction. So it's time to hold these companies accountable with your wallet. Research cruise lines, demand transparency, and support businesses genuinely committed to sustainability. And if those options don't exist, maybe it's time to pause and reconsider our vacation choices. Luxury should never come at the cost of environmental devastation. Yet major cruise companies have turned our oceans into dumping grounds to preserve their bottom lines. They're gambling with the future of the planet, and for what? For profits, convenience, and a veneer of opulence that hides the filth beneath. This isn't just about cruise ships, it's about a broader mindset that prioritizes short-term gains over long-term health. If we let industries continue to treat critical ecosystems as expendable, the consequences will be catastrophic, not just for marine life, but for all of us. The time to act is now. Demand change, demand accountability, and, most importantly, remember this the next time you see a cruise ship gliding across the horizon. That glittering vessel might look like paradise, but its wake tells a far darker story.